and I just finished reading Monstrous Regiment by Terry Pratchett. This is the 31st Discworld book, and I want to give you my first impressions upon just finishing the book. This is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I thoroughly enjoyed this Discworld book, and this comes out on the heels of me not liking or not loving a lot of the previous ones in the last handful that I've read. I've been reading them in order, so this is my 31st one. A lot of Discworld books, but this one did so much right. I loved the story of this far more than I think any other Discworld book. It's not quite as funny as some of the other Discworld books that I've read, namely the City Watch storyline. Discworld's broken up into a lot of different storylines where you can you don't have to start at book 1. In fact, I would recommend that you don't. The first book's kind of weak. But there's 4 or 5 different entry points that you can start on and kind of read through them because they follow a lot of the same characters. This is I think, one from the Industrial Revolution storyline, and any of them can really be read individually. You can pick this book and read it without knowing anything about any other Discworld books. And this might be a really good first one to read because it's so well done. The story, I'm really going to be careful about not ruining anything here because in a weird way, there were a lot of really, really good twists in this book. And Terry Pratchett and these Discworld books are not known for having twists. That's not part of what makes them good. What makes it a Discworld book good is having a kind of a complex plot that really is kind of a thought-provoking, kind of deep look at fantasy while also being really funny. But this one had a lot of good twists where you're just kind of left almost jaw-dropped at, what did I just read? That's really cool. And, the story in this one, I don't think I'm ruining much by saying that it's about this girl who wants to join the military. And she has to fake being a boy to do it. It's got this kind of Mulan story to it. And she's very successful in doing that and tricking her superiors. But she finds a lot of things on the way that are really funny and pretty shocking. So I can't go into a lot of depth. I really encourage you to pick up this book and give it a read. I've heard from a lot of people that have read my Discworld reviews on Goodreads, and they say, I stopped reading after a few books in. And that's a shame because Terry Pratchett really got better as he wrote along. I think that, it really took him 15 books or so to really start hitting his stride. Maybe 10, but 10 or 15. But at this point in his writing, he is really, really doing a good job. I didn't love a few of the previous ones. I still liked them a lot. All of my Terry Pratchett reviews lately have been 3 stars and above, mostly 4 stars. I think, for me, he hovers at about 4 stars. I'm going to look real quick on my, I keep a pretty detailed spreadsheet of all the books I read. And for Discworld, I think that, it's certainly not one of my favorite series because I read some really dense books that I love how big they are. But yeah, Discworld books hover at 3.69 average rating for me, which is good. In my rating scale, 3 is a good book. 4 is really good, and 5 is I loved it. So yeah, please, I highly encourage you to read Monstrous Regiment. You're gonna like it, I'm sure. If you're any sort of fan of fantasy or kind of just humorous books in general, and there's probably a number of different types of people that would really like this book. It's got this really fun kind of feminist backdrop to it, which is really, really cool to see from a fantasy book. You don't read a lot of that. Most fantasy is so heavily male dominated. And for me, it's fresh to read something different. And that's what this book is. So I highly encourage you to give it a read. I like this book a lot. I don't think there's many Discworld books better than this. So that's my review, and I hope you enjoyed it.